Our childhood influences our life, and we're ignorant to it. All your actions, beliefs, responses are as a result of your mind's conditioning over the years. Our most important years of our lives are the years from our birth to the age of 7. That's where our mind is shaped the most. These years are crucial for the rest of our lives. It shapes you as a person, and you might have certain traumas that you're not even aware of. You might be repeating constantly the same mistakes. You attract the same kind of people, the same cycle. You're stuck in the same cycle because of your traumas, of your unhealed traumas from your childhood. I've repeated certain actions, mistakes over the years, which led me to be in the same cycle, in the same toxic cycle, and the cycle of pain and hurt. I wasn't able to leave that toxic environment. And why? Why did I keep going back to the toxic environment? Why was I not able to fully leave? I started reading a lot of books on psychology, on childhood trauma, attachment, and behavior. And I never thought that I had any trauma from my childhood because I had a pretty normal childhood. You know, you read stories from other people that have had it so much worse, and you can't even compare your childhood to someone else's childhood because it seemed like I had a really normal childhood. But then I started to dig deeper. I started to ask myself questions, and to ask questions: why am I acting the way that I was? What is being triggered in me? Why am I being triggered? And why do I act up on certain things? I've learned about shadow work. I asked myself questions, and deep questions about all the things that were going on in my life and how I acted to them, and how other people's actions made me act a certain way or made me feel a certain way, made me feel triggered, something inside of me. I started digging deeper about all of this and asking why, where does it come from, and asking myself all those questions, doing the shadow work, which led me back to thinking about my childhood. So I dig even deeper, and I realized that all of this was coming from my childhood. And as I said, I had a pretty normal childhood, but a certain thing has really affected me and my attachment style, my attachment to people, which was really hard for me to overcome and to be securely attached. And I've talked about it previously in my previous videos, so if you want to watch it, I'll pin my video about attachment styles. But it made me realize how it has really affected me and why am I being so triggered. And that is the first step, to become self-aware and to realize where those traumas are coming from, and to see your triggers and to see your shadow self for what it really is. And that's the first step. After that, I became aware of it, and every time I would feel triggered, at least now I was aware of being triggered and why am I triggered, and I didn't act out on it. I stayed with myself and I looked into those triggers and understand where they're coming from, and presently I accept them, but I don't act out on them. And the reason why you are the person that you are today, why you have certain triggers, why you have certain issues, why you act up on certain things, why you fight, or why you have anger in you, is because of the traumas that come from your childhood that you are unaware of. And you know, a lot of people live passively without really digging deeper, without asking themselves questions about themselves, about their shadow selves. Why? Because it's hard. It's hard to face yourself and to really see your true self. You see your shadow self, which you don't want to face. you see your true self, there's a good and a bad part to everybody. There is no just goodness. It's a balance, the yin and the yang. And we all have that shadow self, but of course we don't want to look at it. We don't want to deal with it because it's hard. It will bring up a lot of things and a lot of emotions, a lot of negative emotions. But once you start working on all those negative traits that you have, something that you're ashamed about, once you start facing yourself, that's when you can finally move past it, accept that part of you, recognize the reasoning behind it. You can change. You can completely change as a person. Who I was even last year, I'm a completely different person. And why? Because I work on myself and I work on all those negative traits, negative parts, and all those beliefs that I've had. I am self-aware and I really try to work on the parts of myself that I feel like I could improve on and grow. I watched a really great movie. I would consider it a psychological movie, so you can really analyze the characters and analyze the movie and why they are the way they are, and it's really interesting. The movie is called Shame. I've heard it from someone actually on YouTube. She was talking about how she understood men from abuse that she experienced, and I think that movie is really good. It really depicts this whole talk that I'm talking about, shadow work, because the main character, he's got an addiction because he has trauma from his childhood that he's not willing to face and work with it. And as the saying, I think that addictions come because of your traumas, because you're not facing something and you're covering up with addiction, with feeling the high of something, no matter what addiction it is. You know, it can be from shopping to substances to other things, but it all comes down from a trauma that you're unwilling to face. And as I said, once I started doing shadow work, my life has really completely changed and I've become really self-aware. And if you want to change, become the best version of yourself, and to grow and to be different, to act differently, to not be triggered, to not be angry, to deal with your emotions differently, you must do shadow work. And shadow work is basically, you can find prompts on Pinterest, on Google, just on ChatGPT, just write shadow work prompt and answer those questions, or look in certain situations. If you're feeling a certain way, if you feel angry because of someone said something, if someone close to you triggers a certain emotion or feelings, you need to ask yourself why it is happening. Why do I feel this way? What is making me feel this way? And look back in your childhood, and I promise you, you will not be the same. You will not be the same person. And that is my talk for today. I really encourage you to do shadow work and to see how it changes your life. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening, and I hope to see you in the next video.